Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Yevamos Kufted Vav 115. The Gemara introduces on the top of Kufted Vav and Aleph a question. The Mishnah stated that if there's Milchama Ba'olam, if we know there's a war ravaging somewhere, so therefore, even though a woman normally is believed to say that her husband died, she's not believed in a wartime situation because we assume she said b'dadami, she assumed he died. But he didn't really die. She didn't say it with 100% accuracy. The Gemara then asks, what about Hichzika hi Melchama Ba'olam? This is the bottom of Kuf Yudal and is going to the top of Kuf Tev and Aleph. We don't know. She went Barbados. She went to a faraway island. Now we have no clue. There's no Reuters over in the world. There's no AP News. There's no Al Jazeera. We don't know what's going on in the world. She tells you there was a war going on in the world, in that place. Right, so, and then she says, yeah, there was a war. My husband died. So, do we believe her? She has a Mali L'Shaka. On one hand, she has a Mali L'Shaka. Mali L'Shaka basically is evidence. What's the discussion, how it works, Mali L'Shaka? Mali L'Shaka is basically, we don't know something. You could have said a winning claim. Instead of saying a winning claim, you said another claim, and then after you said that claim, you say a winning claim that would be in effect based on what you said firstly. You didn't have to say it, basically, in the first place. Mali L'Shaka, you didn't have to start getting into a different story. All she could have said over here, she could have said in Barbados, there was no war going on. And then she'd be believed to say her husband died. The fact that she introduced the fact there's a war, and then she goes back and says, yeah, but I saw him die, that's Mali L'Shaka. Now, there's a question in the Achronim, how you understand the Lomdus, the rationale of Mali L'Shaka. What is Mali L'Shaka? Why you believe when you say Mali L'Shaka? Normally, B'chol Torah Kula. Mali L'Shakir is a good reason to be believed. Is it because it's an umdin the mucha, circumstantial evidence, right? From the fact you could have said a winning claim, but you didn't say a winning claim. Obviously, you're telling the truth. You made it difficult for yourself, and then you got out of it. So obviously, you could have just said the easy way out. So obviously, you're just a truthful person, and we believe you. Or is the pshat that it's koach hataina? Rav Elchanan Watzman introduces that idea that really there's no umdin in the mucha, there's no circumstantial evidence. Because a lot of times people, even though they could say a winning taina, they want to say the truth. They want to say the truth. They don't want to make up something that's wrong just to get what they want. They want to say the truth. But then they want to say the truth, but they want to get out of it anyway. So they feel a little guilty, but they really don't have the proper proof that he actually died in the war. So koach hataina means it's not circumstantial evidence, but Chazal allowed you to rely on this proof. Koach hataina means I win in court. That's all it means. I won in court. A lot of times you win in court on technicalities. That's what it is, technicality. Mali L'Shaka is a technicality that Torah gave you, the Torah or Chazal gave you ne'emanos, gave you belief on this technicality because it's sort of like a credit to you. You told the truth, so we're not gonna mess you up, even though it's not a great proof. The first way of saying it is that it's a pretty good proof. It's like a raya. It's like shtei edim. The other way of saying it is not shtei edim. It's more about an assumption, or even less than an assumption. It's a suffix, but because you came forth, it's like a plea bargain. You came in and told the truth, so we're gonna acquit you over here. We'll do what you want, or we'll make a heskem. We'll make a pshara with you. We'll make a deal with you. So that's how it works. So is it koach hataina, or is it considered to be circumstantial evidence, a real proof over here? So the Gemara goes back and forth. The Gemara is unable to solve this question. There's two ways of resolving it lahalacha, the Rambam and the Rosh. The Rambam rules that since it's a suffix, so therefore, in a sense, she is partially believed, and therefore, if she would remarry, we don't allow her to remarry. But if she does remarry, we don't remove her from her husband because she has some sort of proof over here. And the Rosh says no, we remove her from her second marriage because she has a cheskas heishish. She was chazaka, the status quo. She was married to someone. She has no proof. It's a suffix whether she has proof or not. So hemei davar al chazaka. So keep on as chazaka. What's the machlokes in the Rambam and the Rosh? I'd like to say that the machlokes in the Rambam and the Rosh is based on how we understand Mali L'Shakir over here. That according to the Rambam says that Mali L'Shakir. What's the reason we believe Edus Isha? Right. This really comes up in the next question in the Gemara. What about Eid Echad b'Milchama? Kosher Eid Echad, as opposed to an Isha b'Milchama. An Isha b'Milchama, she has been dummy. She's unsure, and she might report inaccurately. But an Eid Echad, who's Milsa Avidya Lagluya, he normally says the truth. He's a kosher Eid. He's a man. He's a Jewish man who normally says the truth. So therefore, Milsa Davida Legluye, his circumstantial evidence that he's believed. A woman is not believed because circumstantial evidence. A woman by Edis Isha is believed, like to be explained, because of Daiko Minsava, because there's a lot of factors going in over here. She has to come to Beis Din. Beis Din says if you marry the wrong guy, then you're going to have to be yotzi from both. You're going to have a lot of knossos, a lot of penalties in the end. You're going to have amzerim from both husbands. You have to get divorced from both husbands. So there's a lot of penalties. So therefore, Daiko Minsva, combining with the fact that she's going to look into it because of all these penalties, so therefore, Beis Din gave her a koach to win in Beis Din. Basically, that's what it is, winning in Beis Din. We say she let her remarry. We give her a permit to remarry. Or is it because of actual proof? Right, which the Eid Echad, a kosher Eid, who's normally believed in for a Shvuah. So therefore, combining with the fact that Milsa Avida Legli, circumstantial evidence, eventually it's going to be discovered whether the husband's alive or not. So therefore, it's a proof. It's a proof. That's really the two studim over there. That's really the same idea. So when it comes over here to the woman, here we're talking about the question over here is the woman. The woman is saying the Mali L'Shaker. So if you say Mali L'Shaker normally works based on circumstantial evidence, right? So circumstantial evidence is when you talk about an aid kosher, a normal aid who has validity in his words. We believe his words. So therefore, there's an umdana that we could rely on it. So therefore, but when it comes to a woman who, like we said, we're going to say later on in the Gemara, that she's relying on Daiko Min, so she's not relying on an umdan on the Muchach. She's just a Kolach HaTaina. So therefore, Mali L'Shaker, if you assume Mali L'Shaker is a proof, so for a woman it's not a proof, because a woman, even though she'll say there was war in the world, she'll say it's a bit dummy, she's a weak witness, so therefore you can't rely on it at all. And therefore we go on the Chazaka, just like the Rush says, and I'm explaining the Rush over here, and the Rush would say that Mali L'Shaker works as an Edus, and Isha never has the Edus to begin with, never has proof to begin with. She's not working on the Kolach of proof. She's not, her testimony, her believability is not based on proof, it's based on Kolach HaTaina. So Mali L'Shaker is not going to help her over here. But if you say that Mali L'Shaker, like the Rambam says, is a Kolach HaTaina, so then there is a suffix over here. There is a realistic suffix over here, just like a woman is believed Edus Isha when the Shalom Ba'olam because of Kolach HaTaina. So Mali L'Shaker, which is giving her, right, if we knew there was war in the world, so it ruins her Kolach HaTaina. But if she's the one who introduces, she's doing a Mali L'Shaker on the war in the world, so then maybe there's a side that's Kolach HaTaina. So Mali L'Shaker works everywhere else Kolach HaTaina, so here also it works Kolach HaTaina. It's not a believability, but it works within Kolach HaTaina, so a woman technically could be believed. It is a suffix, we're not sure in the Gemara. The Rambam will learn we're not sure is it Kolach HaTaina or is it Mali L'Shaker. The Rosh says definitely Mali L'Shaker. There's no Nemanis over here, but if the Ram says a suffix, so therefore it's a suffix. So there's one side that it's the Kolach HaTaina, so therefore it's actually a suffix, so that ruins the Chazaka, the Chazaka Seish. It's a suffix, she shouldn't marry L'Chadchila, but the if she got married, she wouldn't be forced to be ousted from marriage. That would be Iyun with Benzion today. Hope you enjoyed. See you tomorrow.